it off if you can tell me if you're high energy or not. Actually, no, you're kicking it off because you need to wake up.
Welcome to the Texas Cornhole Show. My name is Jonathan Zarzinski. I've got Grant Upchurch and Baron Hodo with me, and this is episode number, I don't know. We're not at 20 yet. We're below 20. Maybe this is the 5th or 6th this season. Got a lot of things to talk about. And then following this, we have an interview with AJ Sims. So that's what we have in store for you today. We're going to kick it off with the ACO came to Texas. Good old American Cornhole, red, white, and blue. And one of our boys took down singles.
It seemed like we had a lot of boys take down or at least compete at a high level and everything, right?
Yeah.
Multiple guys.
We did well. I think one of the really cool things about American Cornhole, people come from all over. There are people from Vegas, Kansas, Florida, and they compete at a high level. They're pretty good. But a lot of them didn't know who any of the guys from our region were. And there was even a podcast, and I think the quote was something along the lines of, Chase Lester, whoever that is, well, Chase took down singles and beat a lot of really good players to do it, beat the favorites to do it. So that was great. You come to Texas, and you're going to have to play some new players who are really good that you've never heard of.
Right. I love that, too. Because a lot of pros figure that out, too, when ACL comes and does their event over in Texas. We'll have some TCL guys go up there, and like Zeb and Zach were two names that did it in the blind draw this past ACL Open, I guess is what they call it. So, Chase Lester, 10-point what?
It was over a 10-point PPR in singles. And the way ACO works, American Cornhole is what I think I'm going to call it. American Cornhole, red, white, and blue. The way it works is you play a bracket, and you have to make it far in that bracket to make it to the top bracket, right? And the top bracket is the only one that gets money. The other ones get plaques, but you have to make the top bracket to get paid. And he made it to the top bracket, and then in that bracket, he threw over a 10 PPR throwing a block collect game. Not a lot of rolls, just put the bag right in front of the hole and then push it in. And he did that all day long, and it's really fun to watch because he was throwing the bag hard and attacking the cup or the hole, and it was really fun to watch. He played really, really well.
I think your incentive went over really well too, right? So you got some players out there, and
yeah, it was a small event. I mean, relative to TCL, it was tiny. Relative to some of the like regionals that I've gone to, it was small. So I forgot the total number of players, but it wasn't very big. But like I said, people came from like Las Vegas to play because they give away points, and when you're not giveaway, but it's a major. So if you place, you get a lot of points, and there are a lot of people that take American Cornhole very seriously and try to place really high like they do in TCL. And boy, they flew from Vegas. These guys flew from Vegas to Houston, drove to the event to get their points. And they were good. They played really well. But Chase beat them all.
So Chase, it was funny. I had league night with him Wednesday. He was leaving the next day to go out to what was the town?
Bryan, Texas.
Bryan, Texas.
Yeah, Aggie Land.
So, which is, probably like a 3-4 hour drive.
Yeah.
And he was asking me, so if you were leaving tomorrow, how would you get these bags broken in and ready to go? I looked at him. I was like, yeah, you short deadline, huh?
Yeah,
and
those were Bandit Queens.
Bandit Queens. He podium potion soaked them.
Yeah.
And I think he spun them on some concrete.
Yeah.
And took him out there and threw over a 10 with the block and collect game?
No, the story gets better. He decided, so everybody wanted Bandit Queens and dudes, right? So he came, Kevin, Zach, Tanner, Kobe, and everybody was going to throw Bandit Queens and dudes. That was the plan. Well, we show up, and I sponsor one player in ACO, and his name's Spencer Garner. And part of the sponsorship was we made a bag just for him, and it's called the Great. So everybody shows up, and they start throwing his bags, and everybody loved him. And so now everybody wants those bags. So Chase broke in. That was Friday. Friday night, Chase took a brand new set of those bags, broke them in. We used a washing machine, a dryer, and the concrete. And yeah, he threw basically a brand new set that he broke in the night before using Podium Potion and won and beat, the likes of like Gary Bearpaw, Spencer Garner, Sebastian something. I forgot his name, but he's good.
Chase is just a dog, right?
Yeah, he played great. He played great. It was fun to watch him.
Well, that's good. And he got, third in doubles with Kobe?
Yeah, Kobe and Chase got third. I have to say Chase did kind of fall apart. Not fall apart, but he threw bad in that doubles match. In their final doubles game, he had like 3 bad rounds and it was over. Because whether you want to appreciate this or understand this or not, like American Cornhole has some good players. And one of them is Kim Dice, female, and she's really good. And she beat them up. She diced them up with hitting air. I mean, like I said, seriously, Chase had 2 or 3 bad rounds and the game was over.
Where's she located? Where's she from?
I want to say Panhandle of Florida.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% certain about that. And she plays with either her husband or boyfriend. I forgot his name. But, maybe I sound sexist, but it's unusual when you see a girl play really well, right? She was throwing 9 to 10 PPRs the whole tournament. I've got a picture of her throwing with Mason Terry, and she looks like Mason Terry's sister, right? They look very similar, same coloring, same height, both tall redheads. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. And then, let's see, I think Zach and Kevin got 5th in doubles, which is a nice showing. We got 2nd place in the Crew Cup, the 4-man. Kim Dice was on the winning team. But yeah, I think it was great. I love it when American Cornhole comes to town. I like the tournaments, and I hope more people show up to them.
So where's ACO most prevalent, especially for the listeners?
It looks like Central America.
Okay.
Well, Central United States, not not El Salvador. But yeah, like it's based out of Ohio, and just east and just west of the Mississippi seems to be their most popular places. They're going to have their big end of season tournament in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Okay.
Where they were last year. Their bigger events are usually like Mississippi area, from what I can tell. Florida, East Coast. But it's a national league, and they have tournaments all over the country, West Coast to East Coast. They'll have a tournament or a major this year in almost every part of the country.
So what all did Chase qualify for by winning that major?
I don't know. I should know.
You mentioned an event.
Well, I know that at the end of have a they call it Throwinsboro, their worlds, and I think by winning a major he gets into an event. I'm not sure what it is, but by winning a major I think he can play to be a pro already. He doesn't have to get enough points. I think he gets that too, and then once you're a pro in American Cornhole, you're able to play certain events without paying a fee, and then you're also earlier how I mentioned getting into that top bracket. You're automatically in. If you show up to a major and you're an American Cornhole pro, you automatically get into that top bracket. You don't have to qualify for it. He also gets a purple jersey. That's kind of a thing in American Cornhole. If you win a major, you get a purple jersey.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's got and if you win a bunch of them, they put like a logo of the tournament that you won on the jersey. So if you win a bunch of them, you can have a bunch of logos of all the ones that you won.
So what about the total environment of an ACO event? So, we talk about the differences in TCL and ACL in terms of just the overall environment with music playing and crowd noise, et cetera. How does it compare with ACO?
But I'd put it right between the two. I call ACL Cornhole in a library. It's very quiet. Everyone's taking it very seriously.
Right.
Do not say a word while I'm throwing.
Right.
And then TCL, on the other hand, my ears are bleeding. Like I think TCL is too loud personally because I'm getting old. And then ACO is kind of in between. They play music. They have a speaker playing. And people are, pretty easygoing. Like the competition is serious, but all the people that were making racket were us. The TCL guys were the ones yelling and cheering each other on.
Gotcha, at the end of the day, you can't really compare the two because, like you said before, that event was not anywhere close to the size of a TCL Signature Series.
1/10.
And it would compare to the size of more of a regional, maybe a little bit bigger regional event. So it's hard to compare environments in those kind of situations. So I don't know. We got to make a trip out to a bigger one, see what's really about.
Sure. There's one in Mississippi, Tupelo. I hear is pretty big, but the venue's not nice. And then Owensboro is going to be their big one, which Frank says 1,000 players, which is kind of like a big SIG for us.
Right.
That's their big end of season event, which I was looking at going to. But yeah, if you're interested, the ones that are going to be
compares to Worlds, does it not?
Yeah, I guess it compares to it, but it's usually a week beforehand. They don't overlap.
No. I'm saying the amount of people.
Is it 1,000? How many show up at Worlds?
I think 1,000 to 1,500 at Worlds. It's kind of like our Ryder Cup size.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I saw a bunch of pictures of it, and there are quite a bit of people there. It's also almost 10 days long if you play every event.
gosh.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
You show up on like a Friday, start that weekend, play all week, and then finish the next weekend.
Yeah.
That's too much cornhole for
That's
me.
a lot of
I could barely
cornhole.
take 2 days in a row.
Yeah, I'm way too old for that.
So anything else special about your ACO adventure?
No, I mean, it was just great seeing everybody out there playing. Big D had a nice presence. I got a lot of good social media content. I had a good time. It was fun. I got to meet Frank Gears for the first time in person.
Did y'all play a game?
Cornhole's dad. I beat him.
You beat him?
Uh-huh.
What was the score? Was it a skins game?
I was throwing really good. It was over
Hey,
fast.
you're welcome, bro.
Yeah. But then, I also teamed up with them, and we won playing together. So
Oh, sweet. Who'd y'all play? Just guys?
another bag maker.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Smoked him.
Uh-huh.
IMF Cornhole.
What does that stand for?
I don't know. I didn't ask. He's out of Michigan.
Okay.
But he played with Spencer's dad, and I played with Frank. And I think we played like 2 best out of 3. So we won 4 games out of 4.
There you go. Yeah.
It was,
just embarrass them.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Total domination, right?
But dude, I have to say, like, I am giving up competitive cornhole. I am not good. I'm accepting this, and I'm just going to be hanging out making content in bags. That's my plan. So don't ask me to be your partner.
Nerd.
Yeah, I stink at cornhole. I'm fed up. Hey, the computer keeps going. Isn't this great?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
everybody watching and listening at home, I've improved our setup. So
Yes. We're making small improvements. Our setup will change here down the road. We
Yeah.
got Rodney Franklin
yeah,
doing something special for us. Yes, we are knocking off CJ on his signed cornhole board. And I'll acknowledge that every time.
yeah.
So-
I'm looking forward to all the changes that are coming.
So moving on from ACO, Baron had a big topic he wanted to talk about. What was it, Baron?
Well, I think we had several topics, right? So one of the things that we threw out on social media was just, getting some ideas from the field, if you will. And I think that went over really well.
Oh yeah.
Did it?
I think it did.
I think it did. Well, you want to go there first? Because we did have another one that we were going to talk about first, which is don't quit your day job, right?
Oh, the hard drag push.
The article
released
about-
a little article.
Are you a pro?
Are you a pro? What is a pro? And it's a solid read for any parents that are pushing their kid or have a kid that wants to do pro cornhole and views that as a long-term plan for their future, right? So it was a share to Addicted to Cornhole. Hard Drag Push is a Facebook page. I believe it's their most recent article. So I was giving that a read, and it's pretty eye-opening when they break down numbers and show what pro players got paid out. And, some people will see those numbers and be like, hey, that's pretty good. Well, it's not pretty good when people want to do this for a full-time job.
Yeah.
And from the numbers, I believe it was the top 45 players when it comes to earnings won over $10,000. The top 45 players won over $10,000.
Which is not a living.
That's not a living. It's just not a living.
That barely pays for travel.
Right. And I saw a comment underneath the article that said, hey, I'm a parent of one of the pros. And, this doesn't include money that they're making at regional events. This doesn't include, X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, it also didn't include taxes. So let's cut that in half.
Well, nobody's paying taxes on the regional events, right?
No one's on regional events, but the big payout events, you're paying
Yeah.
taxes on that, right?
It
And
gets
then,
reported.
and then at the end of the day, your kid was still a kid. He said his kid was, I believe, 18 years old, so understandable that he lives at the house or whatever. But is it going to be a long-term solution to, how are you going to live your life?
So how does sponsorship money play into that?
And that was a big topic of conversation too. And at the end of the day, it's not on your bag manufacturer to give you a living. It's because they refer to it as you aren't a professional cornhole player. You're a professional advertiser. Your income is really coming off of going and trying to go get sponsorship so you can go play cornhole.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that. People put they ask for a ton of money right off the gate to go be a professional cornhole player. It's like, okay, so how are you going to make me that money back? It's not just free money. It doesn't just, I'm not just giving you money because I like you. Hopefully you can make me some money back, right?
ROI is a term I've seen a lot on these discussions.
And it's killing the pros, right? It's killing them.
I think bag makers realized you don't make that money back.
No. Not on
Bag sales.
not on bag
Not on
sales.
bag
And
sales,
honestly, bag manufacturers are probably just as well off sending a ton of free bags to ambassadors rather than sponsoring a couple pros.
Yeah, so the numbers I've heard are 20 grand. I've heard that from multiple different bag makers that's kind of a number that pros are asking for this season to be sponsored. And for $20,000, you can do a lot of advertising, and like you just mentioned, right? I think BG did that when they first started. Get your bags in the hands of players so they can show them off on social media, so people can see them in podium pics. That's going to do a lot more than one pro that's going to put a link or tag you in his posts once a week or whatever they're doing.
Right. So it's a good read. Go read it, and go look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Because the number one cornhole player in the world outside of sponsorships, when it comes to winnings, made $67,000, and that was Mark Richards.
Yeah.
The median salary for the U.S. is $59,000.
Okay.
So
it's a job.
that's a job. But by the way, Mark Richards still has his day job as a teacher.
Oh, he does?
Yes. So this literally is extra income. So again, when you're talking about living a life and going and doing your thing, man, and especially when it comes to cornhole winnings, to the kids out there that don't understand, hey, how to go buy a truck. You want to go buy a new truck? You better show a consistent income for 3 months.
Yeah.
Can you do that with winnings? Because they don't want to see winnings. They want to see a paycheck.
That's right.
Right. So do you see it evolving in terms of there's a lot more action going on with ESPN and CBS, with the collegiate level, right? So if you got NIL deals involved in this and, some other avenues along those lines, would it change the mindset?
I think that the current state of cornhole for a professional player is it's a side hustle. It is something you do with your free time that you want to pursue because you want to go chase and be on ESPN. If you're playing cornhole to be on ESPN and get that experience and just you want to go travel and see some different parts of the country and whatnot, it's a great thing to do. It's a great experience. But if you think that is going to be your long-term life, you are very mistaken and you really need to reevaluate.
I agree. And the other thing, a couple other things I'm thinking on this topic. One is, has cornhole peaked? I'm always wondering that. Right? Because it became very popular. Are we at the peak right now? And if we are, you just saw the top amount of money you can make, right? From Mark Richards, which is $67,000. That's the top. But hopefully that's not true. I think we're all hoping that it does continue to progress.
And I do think it'll continue to grow. I mean, you look at something like pickleball. They have a huge presence right now. And they have the advantage of getting tennis players from a well-established sport coming to play pickleball. Cornhole doesn't have that. Cornhole is building from the ground up. So I believe that there's still a long ways to go. We'll see some more pickleball injuries, and we're going to look for another little sport to get into, and cornhole is the one.
Pickleball and cornhole, that's the future.
Yes.
I think a really good comparison, for cornhole and the state it's in today, to me, is very similar to where Supercross or motocross is, right, or was. So there was a point in time where motocross was big. It was on ESPN. It was on all of, your local channels as well during the weekends. But the payouts weren't good, right? And so they were relying heavily on sponsorship levels, et cetera. But even that, it wasn't a day job, if you will. And so it's something that did evolve in terms of motocross to where, kids would go to camps as early as 10, 12 years old and start, they spend their whole summer riding bikes, et cetera. It's just like, today in the cornhole world where these kids are throwing every weekend and throughout the week. And, the money payout just wasn't ever there for motocross, in my opinion. And I think cornhole's in a very similar state.
There's a lot of pressure for the players and the spectators for payouts to go up, but realistically, that money has to come from somewhere, and there's just not a place right now to get that money from. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of years, but it's in a rough spot right now. You see a lot of top cornhole players leaving the game right now. Why do you think that is?
I think Jason Rubin is a great example, right? He was killing it. He won all these big events, making plenty of money. And he was only showing up at the big events and winning them. Right. And he's like, all right, I'm out, guys.
Yeah.
So the money isn't there, really. He could do more things or other things with his time that are more valuable to him. And if there was a ton of money on the table, he'd be taking it, right? Like any rational person.
Right.
But there just isn't that much money on the table. So, yeah, I guess high-level point here for the kids out there, maybe you should take your studies more seriously or something, or always keep an eye on how else you're going to be providing for yourself and those around you.
Don't
besides
be
throwing
an
bags.
idiot. Go study, do your homework, and go practice cornhole afterwards. It's a side hustle. It will not be your life. You want to have a girlfriend at some point. I know you do. So you got to be able to balance the workload, right?
Education.
Yeah, and the other thing you bring up all the time, Grant, is what happens when you hurt yourself, right? What happens when you lose your throwing arm? Right? They don't have insurance for cornhole players.
Right, and you're not getting paid so much from cornhole where if you miss a year, you're all right, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully just a big sponsor comes out of nowhere and makes this a reasonable thing for somebody. But,
Yeah.
you know, I hope that my tree in my backyard starts dropping some money too.
Well, and, you know, Chad Jacobson has said this a lot, where sponsorships have to get away from the bag companies. If the bag companies are going to be your primary sponsors, it's never going to work. And I could not agree more. I mean, I've been hit up so much recently for sponsorships, and I'm like, please do the math. Like, the leagues make more money than I do. Could you just go ask the leagues for a sponsorship and not me? Like, you know, I don't know how open people are about finances in the bag making world, but I'll tell you, being a TCL bag maker, you don't make enough to provide for a family. Barely, maybe. I can make more money as a public school teacher. So stop asking me for sponsorships and money, please, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me to sponsor players and give them money. And all the other bag makers that are in the same position are kind of struggling with the same issue, especially in ACL, right? And I guess it's all the Lucky Bags guys' fault and the Fire Cornhole guys' fault, because they were throwing around money like crazy last year.
Oh, yeah, when you go sign somebody to a $100,000 contract.
That's the rumor. I cannot believe that.
Trey Birchfield.
I don't believe it.
It's real.
Incentive-based. I mean, hard cash out of the pocket, guaranteed $100,000.
It's real.
I struggle believing that.
And then
That's a lot of money.
And then you have, but he exploded. Like, Lucky Bags exploded.
But we talked about ROI, right? I'd be very interested to see the books on
Mike
that,
Hennessy is riding around on a bird scooter at all these ACL events. You don't think he's doing pretty well? And you know, Trey Birchfield kind of put him on the map. You know.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
So, and then the Fire Cornhole guy, I think he had an approach he wanted to bring to the market, and I think that approach failed. I mean, we'll see. But he invested a ton of money, and then he wanted to come in and do the bottom of the barrel prices on bags, just to sell as many bags as he could.
Yeah.
I don't see many Fire Cornhole bags.
Well, we're in Texas.
Good
Right.
point. Fair. I don't see him at many large events, though.
I don't see them either. And the ones that I've played, I'm like, okay, these are okay.
Yeah.
They're not that great. They're clearly high volume.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears here a little bit.
All right.
I'll be the mediator here because I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation between the two of you.
Okay.
But one of the topics that came up, and again, I'm very interested in hearing y'all's opinion on, should social players be paid?
No.
Be more specific.
So at the larger events, right, we'll just use a TCL Signature
We need to be
Series.
talking about Texas Cornhole League because this is really what it was about.
Yeah.
Right.
Texas Cornhole League. We asked our viewers, give us some things to talk about, and they sure did. Thank you, by the way.
Absolutely. So at a TCL Signature Series event, should there be payouts for the social level players
Or should social players get like belt buckles and plaques
or merch?
and merch coupons?
Yeah.
You say no.
No, I think 100% cash should get out of social. I think that social players, if it's called social, like, why are you winning money for going to a social event? The whole word social means you're there to hang out with friends, have a good time. Sure, you're going to compete, but I'm not there to win cash money, right? I'm there to have a good time and compete because it's a social event. So have social win plaques, coupons for merch. But cash money, that's competitive. That's serious. That's advanced. That's open. That's not for social players.
So I disagree. I think there needs to be some level of cash payout to social divisions. I'm not saying that it needs to be, 85% of their pot. I think that you do have to move money up because at the end of the day, the open division is the highest level, and there should be some sort of incentive for having to play at the highest level. Now, the social division, to me, that's where as a league you grow. That's where you go get new players. You want players to come to your big events. You want them to be incentivized to do so. And by not having a cash payout and only giving merch or coupons or a set of boards or whatever, yes, it's a nice little thing to give, but man, nothing feels better than when I spent $800 to go spend a weekend at the Texas Cornhole League, and I got half of that back.
Well, then get better and play open and get more money, right? Like, it's a social event. You're there to have fun and have a good time. And so I'm kind of hung up on the semantics, right? So I'm like, it's called social, so it should be social and not competitive. So let's just get rid of that for a second. There should be a division where you can sign up, and maybe the signups cost a lot less, right? Because there's not as much of a cash payout, but it's a smaller entry fee, and you get to play. You get to hang out in the great environment. You get to stick around and watch the show at the end. And you don't get a big payout because the payouts in social encourage sandbagging. That is the problem. People want to stay in social as long as possible so they can clean out all the money. That's what happens. We've all seen it all the time, right? So why don't they have a division where you don't get paid?
So I have thrown out the idea. So right now, I don't like the direction TCL is going. I think it's becoming more of a professional league when it's not a professional league. It is not about it's not about the top 5%. It's just not. That's not. It's TCL is not a pro league. It's about the social. It's about the competitive, and to a degree, it's about the advanced. But it's not about It's not about not paying out social so you can move all this money up to open so that you can fund the lives of guys who just want to play cornhole. That's not what Texas Cornhole League's job is. It's to build an environment so you can have these massive events that people have a great time in and feel rewarded for coming to. So
I feel like you're making my argument. Did we switch sides?
no,
Okay.
I'm saying don't move the money up. You have to. I mean, to a degree, yes, you move money up, but you still need to pay out something to social.
Yeah. I mean, coupons to the Tech TCL store, bags. Yeah, here's some bags and some boards to the champs. For me, the fact that you're giving money out makes it a competition for cash, right? Which is highly competitive. It's professional. It is not social.
Okay, so you do that to social, then at what point do you do the same thing competitive?
Well, I think we do that to a certain extent to everything but open, right? So open is where the best of the best play to make the most money possible. So I think there should be a bit of a drain of the cash. I think the money that competitive players pay, some of that, a percentage of that should go to open. I assume they do that now.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, they do it now, and I'm fine with it. But, yeah, I think they should keep doing that and get money out of social. I've been saying that for years.
So do you believe that if we removed, let's just say TCL decided to remove cash payouts for social alone right now, do you think that would have a significant impact on people that wanted to attend and play?
I think they just sign up for competitive if they really wanted to go in the money.
Okay.
I'd do, shoot. How about a division where it's just open? Anybody can sign up for it, but you don't get any money. I'd play in that. You know what I'm saying? Give me like a trophy so I can put on my trophy case. Because I just want to have social fun. I just want to have a good time. You follow me on that?
And I get you to a degree. I understand you to a degree. I just think that there would be a ton of backlash for moving the money completely out of social, considering the impact social has on your attendance, to be honest.
Can you imagine the threads on social media?
It would be, you'd get slaughtered for
Oh,
it.
like there are no payouts?
Yeah.
Well, then go play competitive. Go play advanced. Go play open. Get better. If you want to win money. If you want to be good enough to win money,
you
practice.
need these people in your league.
So it's a financial business decision. It's not about...
It's almost like an investment.
Like you have to get payouts in social, otherwise they're not going to come.
You want those people to walk away happy.
Well, then maybe there needs to be a fun division or something where you get a belt buckle. I just want to win a belt buckle.
I know where to get those. I have one, actually. I've won a belt buckle. But I don't agree with taking the money out of social at all. At all.
I do.
If anything, I think that it needs to be dialed back a little bit. You know, we need to. I don't like I believe one of the little comments on there was the tier rankings. Why are we doing it by percent of players? I don't like that either. I think it's a flawed concept. I think we're making it too complicated. You know, because you're not getting moved up because you improved. You're getting moved up because there's 50 new players, and that just now you're in the top whatever percent of players.
Okay, so now we're moving topics, right?
Yes.
So we went from money and social, and now we're talking about the ranking systems, right? And there's a bunch of comments about that.
Right.
Like, what do we think about the TCL ranking system? And one of the things I think the point was made, there's too many moving parts, right? They're moving people up and down a little bit too much. And somebody suggested maybe we only have one bump in between each SIG, right? Instead of the constant bumps. I thought that was a pretty good idea.
So bumps are being moved to once a month.
Okay.
And some of those months, it's not exactly a month. Sometimes it's like 6 weeks. Sometimes I think there's a couple scenarios where it's like 7 weeks. And I like doing it monthly. I like doing it before some of your major events. I think a little flaw in the system right now, but they don't view it as a flaw. They view it as, okay, well, those guys need to go get pre-registered before they get bumped. Is that on the third signature series, I believe it's the third signature series. There's you can start pre-register for that before, it was like 2 weeks before the next bump comes out. So people are going to be able to get in certain divisions, or the lower division, before a bump comes out.
So they can lock themselves in.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Gotcha.
So which an incentive for signing up early, but
Yeah.
and that, that kind of means too. I agree with slowing down bumps to the degree where, man, I've only been a competitive player for 2 months. I got good really quick, and now I'm a B player. I didn't even get a chance to really be good in my division, right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I see a problem with bumps right now. Guys get moved up fast. Sometimes people don't even get a chance to win in their division, and they get bumped up.
Yeah. I agree with that. I kind of feel like that happened to me. I've never really won anything. I just keep getting bumped up. A lot of that happened to most players, but I think by definition, you can't have everybody win before they get bumped, right?
Right, but you need to have more people win than what's currently happening. It's happening fast.
So I think, one of the things that makes TCL and kind of cool is the ranking system, right? Other
Right.
leagues don't do that.
Right.
With ACO this weekend, it was
The
everybody.
whole point of the ranking system is even the playing field.
Right. And it's going to be, there's no way you can do it. It's going to be flawed. It's going to be messed up. But I do think the ranking or the bump should be slower. Maybe there should be like a holding, like you get bumped into like a hold. Like, okay, we think you're going to be bumped, and if you keep moving up, we're definitely bumping you. Some kind of buffer there. So yeah, the bumping systems or the tier system I think is pretty good, but you've heard me say this before on the show. Just use SPR. I think they've overcomplicated that. The percentages thing is, it's mathematically sound. It is a good idea.
Mathematically, but when you apply it to the league, it doesn't make sense. Because
why not? Here's the question. If it's 5% of players are A players, is that what they're saying?
No, 4%
Yeah, 4%.
is elite.
Okay, sure. So it's a percentage is elite. So the whole problem I think with that is what analysis went into figuring out if 4% of your player population is an elite player.
Right.
Where did that number come from?
Right.
It got pulled out of thin air.
I
don't
agree.
think-
It did. I think there's a lot of things that got pulled out thin air when it came to the tier rankings. I've voiced this, but you got people making the tier ranking system that are not playing in events and don't really have a grasp of what is that tier ranking player. Like, what is that skill level?
Yeah,
What
so
is a B player? What is a C player? How good should they be? How good should they not be? Because right now we're bumping up people really fast,
Yeah.
and it's becoming more top heavy, and it should not be top heavy.
and then you get turned off. It happened to me. Like when
Yes.
you get it's no fun anymore.
No,
for me
you
to
don't.
compete.
You don't want people to get to the open division as quickly as they are right now, because now they got to play against the top guys, and they might not sniff a chance to win again.
ACL pros that are actually living the life of an ACL pro. Like they don't have a real job.
Right.
They are.
Right.
All right. They're playing cornhole for a living.
Yes.
And you got to compete
And now you
against
got to go
them.
play against those
Yeah.
guys. I think it's too easy to become an A player. I think it's too easy to become a B player.
Yeah. I agree with you. They do, and they bump so fast. I would agree. So how would you fix that? Would it be like the holding pattern?
You slow down bumps, and whatever they're doing on their percents, it needs to the difficulty needs to raise a little bit. It should not be so easy to become a B player. It should not be so easy to become an A player. And even though there's even some elite guys, man, I know they're dominating their region. Well, when you go put them in the signature series, which that's the only time being an elite affects you,
Yeah.
they don't stand a chance, because now they don't get to play with someone at their level. They got to go play with someone lesser with them and compete with guys that are better than them, period.
And there was one of the comments, moving to more of the comments that people gave us. Thank you so much for those comments. I hope people do that more often. Should elite players get bumped? This whole year elite.
During the season, there should be A players that get bumped to an elite, period, end of story. You have new people coming into your league that are doing super well. The prime example, Hayden Morris, right?
Yeah.
He just got second place in open singles.
Yeah.
And now, guess what his signature series lineup is over the next 3-6?
JBJ and that kid.
JBJ, Sammy.
Oh, he's playing with Sammy too?
So, I mean, the spirit of the elite division or the elite level was to even out the playing field and spread the wealth and wins amongst everybody.
Yeah.
Well, when by not bumping people up to elite during the season, you stop doing that.
Right.
It's like, what was the point? It's just you put a different name on it, but it's the same thing.
What was the thought process of not bumping elites throughout the season?
Because players line up their signature series partners during the season, and they don't want to have players have to find a new partner because their partner got bumped to elite.
The whole point of the ACL ranking system, at least one of them, I've heard Chad talk about this, is the opportunity for a player to play with one of the great players, right?
Right.
And here we are with these guys just picking one guy and riding him for the season.
And at the end of the day, Texas Cornhole League is about the environment and about everyone having a good time. Right now, there's lower level A players that don't feel like they have a chance.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're not going to get partnered up with an elite player because the upper level A players or the guys that should be elite players are going to be playing with the elite and pro players.
Right, exactly.
It's a huge flaw in the system right now. And, it's a new rule, so of course there's going to be a flaw.
Yeah.
Right? It's never easy. I think they're going to end up creating an elite pro division, which understandably, but that means you're going to move some people up to the elite division that might not be ready for that. And how does it not suck the fun out of cornhole for them?
Yeah, for sure.
If every time they go to a big event, they get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Well, and the flip side of that is you also have, when you have this moving target, there's also people that recognize where that level is, right? And so let's face it, whether you call it sandbagging or whatever it may be, they don't play as well on purpose, right?
Right.
And so you have that piece of it as well. But I think we could argue this all day in terms of the elite level. I mean, let's face it, there's some people that are labeled as elite that probably, based on their play over the last 3 to 6 months, may not be at that level,
may not
right?
be elite. And then those people do not get a chance to move down.
Yeah, they got that tag for the whole year.
Yeah.
Right.
Meanwhile, there's A players who are white hot that are not elite. Yeah,
That
it's
won't be moved to elite. And then there's A players that get the chance to move down to a B player.
Well, the good news is that Chad can change the rules.
Yeah, it can be changed. It can be adjusted. And it's hard to find the balance, right? Because you're either fighting against sandbaggers or you're fighting against people getting moved up too early. And it's hard to find the in-between, right? It's hard to... Juan made this comment talking about auto bumps. TCL used to auto bump people based off how they finished the signature series. It hasn't been applied recently. There's certain players that have won advanced doubles like 3 times in a row that have not gotten bumped up.
Right.
And I just think there's flaws
Are
in the
auto
system.
bumps in the player's guide? I don't know if I thought they got rid of them.
No, I think they got rid of them.
They did?
So there's no more auto bumps because the argument there's all sides to the conversation, right? There is no perfect system. There never will be. But the argument was, man, I just got hot one day. I got bumped up, and now I haven't even gotten close to that level since.
Right.
So that's why the auto bump kind of got tossed away.
Well, that was also to prevent people from like playing ACO, right? Maybe they're in Oklahoma or whatever. They don't play many TCL events, and they come over to a SIG series and dominate, right? Because they're a good player, really good player, and they're overlooked, right? So.
Right.
All right, couple more topics. Singles, championship. Matt Longoria thinks they should move it back to Saturday night.
100%. I understand not wanting to have all the championships on Saturday. Open singles needs to be on Saturday. That's like, you want people to watch that.
Yeah, and his point was some people can't make it Friday night, right? So you're going to have a bigger crowd, more energy for the big singles matches.
And at the end of the day, that's what TCL is those championship games. When you got the big crowd, people in bleachers doing their thing, you want those environments to be big and awesome.
Now,
I can tell you that from my perspective, when I got into Cornhole, one of the very first large events that I went to was a Signature Series event, and that's when they had all the championship series that night on Saturday night. And just that experience alone got me hooked into Cornhole, right? Just the vibe, everyone cheering, everyone just, raising hell for their favorite player. That whole environment was, whether you want to call it like a college football atmosphere or whatever.
Yeah.
That environment just got me hooked on the game.
So I'll play devil's advocate, and then I kind of want to answer my own argument. But what about you're white hot, you're playing great on Friday, the boards are moving, your bags are working, it's just how you like it, and then you have to stop. And then let's say you're not even playing doubles. You got to come back and compete Saturday night for the singles competition.
But isn't that part of being an elite player to be able
Isn't
to
that
adjust
part?
to those?
Isn't that part of being a high level? Yeah, a high level cornhole player.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, do NFL you can't really use
Golf.
do the Golden State Warriors get a win game 1 of their playoff series and play game 2 that night because they're playing really good?
Yeah.
No, you show up the next day or the next 2 days from there and you got to play a whole new game.
March Madness is a perfect example, right? You get hot. There's a team that gets hot. They flow through the system, and they have to be hot every night. Right?
Yeah,
And
it happens in golf too. The U.S. Open, if you tie at the end of Sunday, you start playing on Monday the next day. You don't keep playing that day.
Right.
So you got to wake up and find it all over again.
So I mean I understand the argument, and it's a really good story for when you tell someone why you lost.
Yeah, it's a great built-in excuse.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yes, but I think championships, at least the Open Advanced Championships, need to be on Saturday nights.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree totally.
All right, one more topic, and then we'll wrap this show up. Commentary. When you go back, Trey Sparks wants to know if people listen to him talk, right? That guy works hard. He is bringing his own equipment. I think he's practicing at home with his new call-outs and what Lets It Fly, I think, is one of his new ones. I think he's coming up with this stuff. I mean, he really is working hard, and the TCL people that enjoy going back and watching their own recordings, I'm sure, like listening to Trey and Johnny.
For sure.
So he asked if people actually listen to the commentary. So we could take a poll really quick. I know that when I go back, well, first of all, I watch live because sometimes I'm not able to make the finals or not able to make it. So I do watch live, and hell yeah, I'm listening to the commentary. Absolutely. I've got my headphones on. I'm listening to it. And then when I go back and watch the recordings, when I'm on my computer, oftentimes I've got my headphones on and I'm listening to like Amazon Music or something. So I'm always listening to music when I'm on my computer. But if I go back and watch the highlights or looking for highlights, I always listen to the commentary, like 100%.
Absolutely. For me, too, I listen to the commentary. I enjoy what they say. Sometimes they'll say something controversial. I even like that. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm
Wait, can you think
did
of
he really
something?
just say that? No.
Yeah, you can. You got something.
But you know what I mean? I think that just hearing that commentary and getting sometimes even a different perspective, like, when Johnny's on the mic as well, he's got so much deep knowledge of the game. He's been in it so long that I enjoy listening to him.
So I agree.
You listen to the commentary?
Yes, and this is why the commentary is important and why Trey and Johnny do such a wonderful job and need to continue practicing their craft and making it better. It is on the commentators to bring the electricity to the microphone. That way, when you're going back and you're watching your video and you're like, man, I hit this big shot. I wonder what the commentator said when I hit this big shot. And then you go listen and you hear Johnny Seymour saying whatever, Trey Sparks saying whatever, and they're bringing an energy to the game. It makes your clip so much better.
Yeah.
When you show your family and friends something, it makes it so much better. It brings something to what Texas Cornhole League is or what Cornhole is that you absolutely have to have. If it wasn't for them, watching a game would be pretty boring.
Yeah.
So, yes, absolutely necessary.
And Trey does such a good job of bringing that high energy.
Right.
You can tell he takes breaks between games and matches, and when he comes back, he's always pushing the energy.
If I'm not seeing them break a sweat up there, they're not trying hard enough. Their job is to provide an electricity to the environment and to add something to what those clips and those live feeds can be. So another thing I saw on the comments, how should the live stream courts be broken up during a tournament?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Should there be a lane for every difficulty, every class?
So I'm going to give you
Tier, sorry.
I'm going to give you two different opinions.
Okay.
One is from the player / TCL's best interest, and one is from the bag manufacturer. The bag manufacturer wants all the open games to be on the main live stream courts. That way I can go back and see clips of my bags and be able to take clips of those and post them on social media.
Okay.
Create content for Texas Cornhole League, my bag company, whatever, because my open players are throwing better than what the social and the other guys are doing. They're not just trying to hit the board. They're trying to skip over your bag and get in the hole. Now, my opinion as the player / interest in TCL, I think you got to work in some of those. You got to work in those other divisions on the live feed because you want those people to have clips of whatever. Or say, hey, look, I was on this live feed. Because that's how you grow the game. You got to have these guys sharing stuff to their social media and get their friends and family to come play cornhole.
Yeah. I think at the finals, they always do have the social and then the competitive and the advanced, and they finish with open, right? And maybe the question was throughout the day, right? Should we have one lane dedicated to social only throughout the day?
I think rounders, no. During the tournament, you find a way.
Like the bracket?
The bracket.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this. What about, so we talked a little bit about commentary, over the live stream, but what about building the hype during the event? Like, not someone that's commentating the whole time during the championship matches, but maybe introduces them and talks up what bags they're throwing and things like that to the crowd that are in the stands to build a hype. Kind of a hype man, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that for any division. I think that needs to happen, but that needs to happen for the open division.
Just open?
You can't do that for every division.
Yeah. Trey did ask about that, to have like some pre-recorded introductions for players that he can play, because it would be easy. Once we have the pre-recorded introduction, we could drop it into the live production before the players play. It's just work that I don't want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's possible. It's easy. We have the technology.
Well, I think if the reason I bring that up is because if you have that type of hype going on during the championship matches, I think it's imperative that you move those to Saturday, especially for the open division.
100%.
Right.
You got to have those open advanced games go into Saturday, and I think they need to do a little reshuffle. They start off with social, then go competitive, advanced, and open. So that's when you sprinkle in some of those advanced singles games.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, the only people watching the social and competitive games are their friends and family, region.
Yeah.
But the people that are trying to watch good cornhole, they're not watching the first hour and a half of the championship games.
Yeah, that would be a good, really good idea. Like, take a note from Dana White from the UFC. He always starts his main cards with a banger. He always puts out some of his highest energy, the most anticipated fights. He puts them out first to get the crowd hyped.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
Right. I think you got to sprinkle those in there, kind of shuffle up the way it goes. I don't think necessarily that this could be a horrible idea on my part, or suggestion, but open doubles, should that be the last event? Or is the crowd pretty much dead by then?
It's dead by then.
It's dead. I think you need social to be last, not because of any other reason than you make social sit through watching all the other games before they can watch the social games.
I mean, why not try it at least one time?
Right, why not?
Yeah, I like it.
So I'm going to disagree with you guys a little bit on that, because I think once they watch the open game and maybe the advanced game, they're leaving.
They're leaving?
They're gone. Right? So I think that if you build up the hype with some of the...
I think they're doing that anyway.
Well, how about this? Start off with open and advanced singles. Boom, boom. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then go into your regular double.
I like that.
All right, Chad, you listening to this one?
Probably. He's
it's a
probably
good
getting a phone call. Oh, Grant said this. Get over it.
Yeah. That's a really good idea. I would love to see that Saturday night kickoff with advanced and open singles. That's a great idea.
Well, I think you could even promote it, right? Saturday night, championship night, and you could take it to a whole new level.
I like it. All right, cool. You got anything else for us, guys?
Do you?
Yeah, sure. We got these bags right here in front. There's a benefit happening at Saturday, Northeast Texas Tin Cup. It's a benefit for, I forget, dang it, Duke Doss's mom, I believe. It's breast cancer awareness or breast cancer month.
Yes.
And it's for her. So we have some pink designed bags. They'll be raffling off some Bandit Queens and some dudes. So everybody come on out to that. It's this Saturday at Tin Cup, which Tin Cup's a great venue to play cornhole at.
Yes. And exciting news. The Texas Cornhole Show events here at AJ's on Tuesdays will be sanctioned TCL events moving forward.
All right.
So come earn your points, plan some different events. We're going to hammer BC events.
BC.
B singles, which is a new event added to the TCL approved events to be ran.
B singles.
Yes. It's been hesitated. We have over 1,000 B players now.
Yeah, you could come beat me up, everybody.
So we, instead of having those B players always have to go compete against the A players and top level talent, we gave them their own singles event, just like Signature Series.
Like an advanced.
So they can compete against each other and see who's the best of the Bs.
All right, so we're going to have some TCL events Saturday night or Tuesday nights at AJ's.
Yes.
Let's go. Today's what, a switch?
Today is a switch, and it's for points.
TCL, I was trying to have a clean sheet this season.
And I am tired of not winning switches here. I'm over it.
You're over it?
I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah, me too.
Y'all come see us. We don't get enough
Yes.
participation. Y'all come see us.
Oh, it's going to keep growing. It's been getting bigger every day.
Yes.
And we're giving away sets of bags every single night.
Yes. Next
that's
week,
my
I will
promise.
have some non-TCL stamped center bags up here
Hell
for a
yeah.
little giveaway.
Tonight we're giving out some more dudes.
Yeah.
So
By the way, that is on my list of things to watch. I've been telling Haley every time. It's just sitting down and watching a movie.
Big
you know?
Lebowski?
Yeah.
It's been overhyped. You're not going to like it.
It's
Well,
a
now
great
I'm not
movie.
going to watch it.
It's a great
Now
movie.
I'm not going to watch it.
I've seen it in the theater
white-
recently.
Good Friday.
They had it at Alamo Draft House, and I went back in my drinking days, and I was drinking White Russians the whole time. It was fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So appreciate all y'all. And remember, it's just a game.
It's just a game.